Hiya. You know what time it is. Ah! Get into it. We are back with Storytime with Chris. I know I may seem low energy today, but I had a very eye-opening therapy session. For those who don't know, I see a therapist virtually every Wednesday at 11. And it just... having a therapist is important. I feel like everybody, regardless, everybody has mental health struggles, but if you are diagnosed on paper to be like bipolar, schizophrenic, severe to moderate depression and anxiety, like seasonal depression, like whatever, bipolarism, bipolar depression, is it, I think it's social... No, it's... Hold on one second, y'all. Pardon me and forgive me for my delay. Dissociative disorder. Like, you know the full gamut of what I'm talking about. Even if you don't have those things, I think everybody would benefit from a therapist because it's a third party that, you know, is unbiased about you. I mean, granted that they, you know, write down your history and what you tell them and the confidentiality of the therapist and the client is very much ironclad. Like, we got that. So, I say all that to say is mental health is important. This is a transformative period right now in this month for everybody, if you're an astrology lover. And I'm going through a transformational period. But I'm happy. Despite it. I'm happy. And I'm well loved. And I'm blessed. And you are too. You are beautiful. You are imperfectly made as you are to be a great force in this world, whatever you choose it to be. And you don't need me to tell you that. You already know the truth about how brilliant and how awesome you are. And I say all that to say, just like Kiki and her journey, you have to continue to have faith. For anybody that has seen the movie from Studio Ghibli, which I don't think that scene that I'm referring to is going to play out in this book. Because the book is different than the movie. It's not different. It's very different in comparison to the film. But there's a moment where Kiki... spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. So spoiler alert, walk out of the room and skip ahead if you don't want to hear this. Waiting. Oh, while we're waiting, I do not own the music in the background, which is from... Ooh, gracious. Hold on one second. I need to put on my glasses. It's from Harps Aboard. She's amazing. Check them out. I do not own the music in the background, and I hope it doesn't rain, because that will make this day a bit more emotional than what it already is for me. Anytime I'm having a day or being sad or whatever, like, the weather reflects those emotions. I can't tell you why, it just happens. I don't know why, it just happens. But it's my favorite day of the week. And I'm going to make the best of it, because honestly, it has been a really good day. Had a great therapy session, cooked myself a lovely brunch at home. Got to talk with a really good friend of mine for a good hour, and I was super excited to share my news about my promotion as a manager at Ellie's, which I'll be managing tomorrow morning at 7:30. So, yeah. Just taking my time to heal and to progress and to allow myself to grow. As I said in my post, love is the foundation of my spirit, and love will always be my superpower. Just like whatever you choose is your superpower. Everybody has one. Now, I'm going to, oh goodness, because I see clouds. That should be fine when I get to the gym later. Oh, sorry. My shelf hit it on accident. Okay. Ah! Sorry, y'all. Just tidying things up. Like I said, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them on the YouTube channel, which, yes, I know. I'm a little bit behind. My apologies. A message had came through and I was reading it. My apologies. Like I was saying, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them at your leisure on the YouTube channel or here on Facebook. Or if you follow me on Instagram, you can watch all of our readings there. I'm on Instagram. We're reading Anne of Green Gables still. We only have one other chapter in Kiki's delivery service. And we're going to go on to something else. And after good deliberation, I think I've narrowed down what my next book for Facebook will be. So just give me a minute. So without further ado, we will begin. Kiki delivers the sound of spring. It was still cold every day. Gigi was curled up on a chair complaining.
What a long winter. If it gets any colder, I think I'm going to quit being a cat. I can't take it.
What would you be instead? You have such a nice fur coat.
Kiki patted his back.
You keep saying you're cold, but the sound of the wind is already different. It sounds like spring now. I'm sure of it. Yes, spring. I'll be able to see Mom soon. But those who complain too much can't hear nice noises like that.
Gigi pouted and hid his face between his front paws, but his cute black ears stuck straight up and twitched slightly. The phone rang. The moment Kiki picked up, a flustered voice came over the line. Hello? Please hurry, come to the station, please. Koriko Central Station. Abruptly, the call ended.
Why is every job that comes my way such a crisis?
Kiki said. She arrived at the station, in the sky over the station. The station master waved her down, shouting, Here! Over here! Hurry! Next to him were 8 men, thin like withered trees in matching black outfits. When she landed, her broom in front of them, they weren't surprised in the slightest. They simply continued glaring at the station master with frightening looks on their faces. These gentlemen are musicians, and... The station master started to explain, but a man with flashing eyes cut him off. Professional musicians. Oh, right. These esteemed professionals will be performing this afternoon at the outdoor auditorium.
But it's so cold, Kiki exclaimed. Outdoor means outside, right?
The man cleared his throat and puffed out his chest. That's the whole point. Because our music will warm your heart. It's called a concert to beckon spring. Well, it will depend on whether the ears of the people in your town are any good. But we're worried because we're missing something important. Yes, that's right, miss. The thing is, the porters forgot to take their precious instruments off the train. It's quite a pickle. The station master removed his hat and used it to wipe the sweat off his forehead. Nearby, Kiki noticed 2 young men who must have been the porters hanging their heads. Oh no! She hopped up and down to look in the direction the train must have disappeared in. Yes, exactly. The train left with our instruments on board.
Then please hurry and phone the next station. I'll go pick them up.
The thing is, that train is an express, and after leaving here, it doesn't stop until the end of the line, the station master said, even more upset.
So what am I supposed to do?
Would it be impossible for you to take them from a window of the moving train? It's the car at the very end.
Oh, there's no chance of that,
Kiki said, a little louder than she meant to. But it's been done before. One time someone crept in through a window and stole a bundle of money.
Wasn't that awful? Why not borrow some instruments instead? We have some in town.
I've thought of that, but... The station master looked at the men. Unacceptable! One of them yelled. The mere idea is outrageous! We're not just any professional musicians. We can't make do with just any instruments. How could we perform with the kind of crude instruments that play even a breeze so much as blows? The other 7 men scowled even harder with their narrowed eyes and nodded in agreement.
They have eyes as icy as the north wind, but they say they're going to give a concert to beckon spring?
Kiki grumbled under her breath.
I'm not sure I like these guys.
I feel bad for the north wind, Gigi murmured into her ear in a similar spirit. It's your fault for not removing them in the first place, one skinny man said. We wrote to Koriko Station on them clearly, so it wasn't our mistake. All the blame lies squarely on you, Mr. Station Master. The station master looked at Kiki as if she were his last hope. The porters were also watching her with desperation. She spread her arms and shrugged. Someone was counting on her. She couldn't say no.
I don't know if I can do it or not, but I'll at least try catching up to the train.
Hurry! The man ordered her. There's no time. We'll be waiting at the outdoor auditorium. Bring them by 3 o'clock. Got that? Kiki purposely flew off without a reply. After quickly ascending, Kiki flew along the tracks. For a while, she soared through the northern part of town, but after she passed the fields and forests, the scenery became mountain after mountain and tunnel after tunnel.
Hey, can you really pull off a stunt like this? Gigi sounded concerned.
Don't worry, those guys were so arrogant, I just wanted to make them sweat.
But we're talking about boarding a moving train.
It's okay. You're with me, Gigi. We'll figure it out.
Huh?
Gigi shouted.
Oh, there it is!
Kiki lifted herself off the broom for a moment and yelped. Ahead, the last car of the train slipped into a tunnel like the tail of a lizard.
I got this!
She shouted and zoomed over the mountain to the tunnel's exit.
Gigi, he said it's the last car, so I'll land on the roof. You go in through the open window and unlock the back door for me.
Soon the train appeared with a... Kiki angled her broom and prepared to descend.
You're landing on that tiny spot?
Gigi sounded like he was going to cry. Kiki didn't need him to tell her how tricky this would be. She tried to aim for it. The train's roof looked like a flying leaf.
I'm bewitched. I don't even have a spell to make this train stop. There's no other way!
Kiki shook the jittery thoughts out of her head and began her descent. Wind whooshed past her ears, and both her hair and Gigi's tail stood straight up as if the sky were tugging at them.
Ah, we're gonna crash!
Gigi shrieked, but that was the moment Kiki went gliding down, body and broom, and clung to the roof. The train continued running as if nothing had happened. Kiki scooted along bit by bit, hanging onto the roof of the swaying car and peered into a cracked window. She spotted a mountain of luggage labeled Tukoriko.
There they are.
I can't! I'll fall!
Okay, Gigi, go in there.
Gigi sprang back and clung to the broomstick.
No, in you go.
Kiki grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and shoved him through the opening in the window. Branches of the trees lining the tracks of the mountain whipped at Kiki's body. She flattened herself out to let them go by, but then came the next batch.
Hurry, Gigi, open the door, please!
She stretched out and pounded on the back door. Suddenly, the train entered another tunnel, and everything went pitch black. The wind gusted past her with a tremendous roar, and Kiki could feel herself slipping. In a panic, she grabbed her broom and tried to find a handhold, but just as she did, she slipped off the roof.
Gigi! Gigi!
She just barely hanging on, she kicked the train door. At the moment, the door opened and she tumbled inside. As the train exited the tunnel, bright light poured in through the windows. Gigi sat on the floor as if his legs had given out from the fright. All he could do was stare at Kiki in shocked silence. There was a whole mountain of bags in the car, but the 8 instruments were in oddly shaped cases, so she could tell them apart from the other things right away. Even so, it was a lot of luggage.
How are we going to carry all this?
Kiki plopped down like Gigi, exhausted.
They have handles. Could you hang them from the broom?
Gigi said, seeming to have returned to himself as he sat next to her.
There are 8 of them, though. Do you think that'll really work?
Maybe not.
Oh, wait a second. Maybe if we take them out of their cases, they'll be a little lighter.
Kiki opened the case nearest her. Inside was a shiny gold instrument shaped with a twisty slide at an amusement park.
This one is a horn. You blow into it. Oh, here's a trumpet and a trombone. This is a violin, and here's a cello. Dad told me all about these.
Kiki opened case after case. Each instrument sparkled as if to be expected, given how proud the musicians were of them.
Gigi, you can carry a violin. Right? I can carry the cello. Let's thread the brass section from biggest to smallest like a necklace and hang it from the broom. We can use bits of the string from those packages.
Kiki explained busily as she began to connect the instruments. Then she tied them to her broom and said,
Okay, Gigi, time to go. Hop on the back.
Kiki straddled the broomstick, holding the cello against her lap with her right hand and the bow in her left. The violin was bigger than Gigi, but he held it with all 4 of his paws and sat with his tail wrapped around the broom's brush.
And we're off! Let's go!
Kiki shouted and flew out the open door. The brass instruments took off one by one behind her. As soon as the wind hit them, the horns began to make noises. Surprised by the sounds, the passengers of the train looked out the window, pointing and yelping.
Ha! Kiki exclaimed. You never know what can happen in the sky. This is pretty special.
Riding the rush of confidence, Kiki began to play the cello in her lap. Gigi plucked the violin strings with his claws, and it was the first time playing an instrument for them both, so the sounds were squeaky and screechy. It was bad enough to rattle the teeth of anyone listening. Brass instruments continued making bizarre sounds in the wind like pigs or people snoring, but once the breeze from the south mixed in and became fun and rhythmical, Kiki wove this way and that, climbing up and down, trying out all different sounds as she headed back to town. Meanwhile, the outdoor auditorium in Koriko was full of people. It was already 10 minutes past 3, the time when the concert was supposed to have started. A poster reading, "A Concert to Beckon Spring," hung at the center of the stage, and below it the 8 musicians sat in a row with their sharp features facing the audience. They may have looked composed, but inside they were trembling nervously about whether Kiki would manage to deliver their instruments or not. Most anxious of all were the station masters and the porters backstage.
We're cold, so please start already!
Someone from the audience shouted. "We're gonna freeze! Aren't you supposed to be beckoning spring?" Someone else jeered, and everyone laughed. One of the musicians stood and said,
"The performance will begin momentarily. Please wait with open ears. Though it's cold outside, once we start to play and the beautiful sounds come forth, spring will warm the hearts of anyone listening. We're currently dedicating a prayer in preparation." The musicians gazed out over the audience, and then he cleared his throat in a haughty way. The other musicians hid their irritation by clearing their throats, then bowed their heads and pretended to pray. The audience thought disrupting them would be unkind, so they quieted down and bowed their heads as well. Then came a faint sound. From between the clouds, beyond the mountains, over the big river and toward the sea came a sound like a whisper, an invitation, a secret. It was as if the prayer had worked and spring was on its way. The audience and musicians all looked up one after the other. Something in the sky was catching the sun's light and shining brightly. It swung and swayed as it approached. The people huddling into the collars of their overcoats, the people curled up in balls, and the people hugging their knees, they all stretched out. It was as if the beautiful approaching sounds were pulling them closer to spring. But the musicians on the stage were shocked. They exchanged looks, blinking furiously, and whispered, "Who could be playing them?" Soon the gleaming cluster in the sky was easier to see. Of course it was Kiki on her broom with Gigi, and the string of brass instruments like a necklace of light. The flustered musicians stood and disappeared backstage as they could receive their instruments the moment Kiki landed and begin the performance. The station master and the porters waved their hands with all their might to signal her, but Kiki pretended not to notice them. She was having too much fun playing the cello along to the brass noises. She turned around and said to Gigi,
"Let's fly a little more."
Sure, considering the train door might not have opened at all, I think they could wait a little longer.
Gigi was holding the violin and seemed in no hurry either. Below, the audience whispered, "Oh, I see. This is a wonderful concert. I never expected music to come raining out of the sky." Some people simply closed their eyes in bliss as they listened. Others waved at Kiki. Some moved their feet to the beat. "Have to get ready for spring! Yes! This year I think I'll put violets in my hat." Everyone was excited as if spring had already arrived. Before long, someone began to clap, and soon a huge round of applause echoed on and on. "Okay," Kiki finally said, "I'm gonna land." She reeled in the brass instruments so they wouldn't hit the ground and get scuffed. She made a smooth landing backstage where the station master, the porters, and the musicians were waiting. Meanwhile, behind the stage, the musicians pounced into her immediately. "How slow!" they complained as they set about removing their instruments from the string. "It was the wind's fault," Kiki said calmly. The musicians grabbed their instruments and dashed out to the stage, but the audience was already on their way to the exit.
"Excuse me!"
The musician called out, and one of the concert-goers turned around. "Thank you for the delightful music," the concert-goer said. "It was a great idea to have that sweet witch deliver it from the sky. Please visit our town again." Hearing that, all 8 of the musicians' jaws dropped. Kiki and Gigi mounted the broom and flew off to return to the shop.
"And Kiki, did you get anything as a thank you?" Gigi asked.
"What are you talking about? It's so much fun! What can I possibly ask for after that?"
she said, turning to him in surprise.
"Yeah, you're right."
Gigi nodded and stuck his ear straight up.
"I can still hear the sounds of spring.
That's because those are the real sounds of spring."
Kiki looked at the town of Koriko, spread out below. "I've been here an entire year." And that is where we will end today. I love you all so very much. Thank you so much for your support, and for everybody on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are in the world. Just know that I love you. genuinely mean that. I'll see you next time. Be good to yourself.